All right, guys, welcome to the Quantum Self podcast. Today we have an amazing guest with us. His name is Joseph Raleigh, and before he introduces himself, I just want to pose a question for you guys. What if the way you speak, move, and interact with the world is shaping your reality more than you realize? Imagine if the simple act of drinking tea, walking, or speaking could unlock a deeper self-awareness and connection. This is the power of embodied communication, where every moment becomes a portal to mindfulness and transformation. So if you're ready to awaken this magic hidden in your daily life, get ready, and we just thank you for being here. So without further ado, Joseph, please introduce yourself and explain what is embodied communication.
Yes, thank you. Embodied communication is all about a journey that we take from our head to our heart. Essentially, it's about tapping into the wisdom of the body. This is a system that has been developing for many years. It combines yoga from India, Qigong from China, and the Merkaba from Egypt, along with movement, breath, and awareness to bring us more into an embodied sense of presence. So Qigong is a system of Chinese energy medicine. Qi means energy, Gong means knowledge or study of. One of the big influences for embodied communication was spending 3 months in China studying with a Qigong master. And in Qigong, there are 3 primary energy centers in the body. At the pineal gland, the head, the heart, and the lower dantian at the sacral plexus or the lower abdomen. So these are called the dantians. And what came to my awareness was that these are the 3 wisdom centers of the body. And each center gives us a different insight into deeper wisdom. So through the heart, we know expressions like the wisdom of the heart. So we're taking this literally, that as we do this movement, breath, and awareness, we're tapping more deeply into the wisdom of our heart, which opens up a sense of what is my heart's deepest longing. When we're in touch with our heart's deepest longing, we're in touch with our life purpose. And then we bring our awareness from the heart down to the lower dantian, in the lower abdomen. And now we are connecting to our gut feelings. Hence, the more that we can tap into our gut, the more we're in tune with our intuition. So through embodied communication, we're learning how to tap into these 3 different wisdom centers within the body. And then the next level are the 7 chakras. The dantians are at the 2nd chakra, the 4th chakra, and the 6th chakra. Each chakra has a color, and each chakra has a story that's personal, it's collective, and it's epigenetic. So all this that we're talking about is about how we are developing communication internally, or intrapersonal communication. And once we've delved into the stories of the chakras, the wisdom of our body, and we come into alignment with the dantians, the yoga, and the Merkaba, that makes our interpersonal conversation so much richer.
Mm-hmm.
So any questions, comments, feedback?
So what inspired you to basically fuse these different disciplines in this new style of communication?
These have been, I would say, downloads that I've been receiving over the last 30 years. I came to an awareness that One day I was meditating on the lower dantian, the second chakra, which is also the sacral chakra. The sacrum is shaped like this, a downward shaped pyramid. And as I was meditating, I felt the energy of that pyramid coming up. And there were 7 pyramids that were all coming up through my body. And in that moment, I had an awareness, as below, so above. There must be something above that's similar to that. And I felt the energy of these chakras coming down, coming into the heart, and all together forming a Sri Yantra. Later that day, I went home and I looked in an anatomy book on what's the bone at the top of the spine, and that's the occiput, which is shaped like this. So when the occipital energy, the upward facing triangle, which is the divine masculine, comes down into the heart, and that sacral energy, the second chakra, comes up into the heart, it forms a Star of David. When that Star of David begins to spin, it creates a star tetrahedron. And the star tetrahedron spinning creates the flower of life, or the Merkaba. So in that moment, I realized, through a combination of understanding of yoga, qigong, and the Merkaba, we have a much deeper system of internal communication. And we access that through movement, through breath, and through awareness. There's one other piece of the puzzle. In yoga, there are 3 bandhas, which are considered locks or gateways. There's one at the base of the spine, there's one at the solar plexus, and there's one at the top of the spine. So in the process of embodied communication, we learn how to open these locks, connecting the head and the heart. We open this lock, we're connecting the heart and the hara, the lower dantian. We open the bandha at the base of the spine, and we're connecting to the earth. So these 3 systems together activate what's known in Tibet as the rainbow body.
Amazing.
And then I also began to notice how when we're simply using words and we're coming from our mind, it's so easy to rationalize. And when we're in our head, we often misinterpret what's being said from the person that we're talking to. When we come into our feelings, our emotions, then we come a step closer to having a direct connection with the person that we're communicating with.
Definitely. I've definitely observed that in my life. The more heart-centered you interact with people, the better results you get. And we live in a intellectual society, especially in the West. Everyone's trying to, intellectually penetrate. Like my idea goes into your brain, and that doesn't really work, and yeah, that's just a little bit of my experience.
Right. So in the system of embodied communication, each of the chakras is associated with a color, which comes from the system of yoga. And then I began to realize that each chakra is related to a basic or a primal need. And in this system, the root chakra is food, the sacral chakra is water, the solar plexus movement, the heart rest, the throat air, the pineal gland light, and the crown chakra love. And each of these primal needs has a higher need. So root chakra, food, we can ask ourselves, what do we hunger for? Water, what do we thirst for? Solar plexus, what moves me? Heart, which brings me stillness or rest. Throat, air, what inspires me? Pineal gland, light, what enlightens me? Crown chakra, love, what fills me with love? So if we go without any of the first 6 primal needs, we begin to feel some discomfort. Like if we were to hold our breaths, within a very short time, we'd start feeling some need for air. If we go without water for more than a day, that feeling of need for water increases. So we can use these basic needs in order to tap into the higher needs. When I'm thirsty, rather than immediately grabbing some water, I can ask myself, what do I thirst for? And this is another way of using the system of embodied communication to tap into that deepest heart's longing. Each chakra has a color, and the colors represent a right hand and a left hand way of exploring the chakras. So for example, the root chakra, red. When I was a child, I had a dream of this brilliant red cardinal. It was silhouetted in a violet oval. I went downstairs and looked in my parents' dictionary, the word cardinal, and cardinal comes from Latin. It means a hinge or a point of change. And I began to understand that red, which is the color of fire, creates transformation. So ever since then, the cardinal has been a symbol of, oh, this is an opportunity to create change. Hence in the English language we talk about a cardinal point of change. And then I noticed that in the English language we associate the color red with what emotion?
Anger.
Anger. When I'm angry, I see red. But we also associate the color red with passion. What's the color of the box that you give your sweetheart on Valentine's Day? Red.
Mm-hmm.
So at its pure hue, it feels to me that anger and passion are actually similar. The root of the word passion means to suffer, hence the passions of the cross. So when we have a lot of passion and we're using that fiery root chakra to create change, inevitably we find some suffering there. The same thing when we have passion in relationship, that passion which is pushing forward like fire can create suffering. So if we bring that energy up into the heart and we add white light to that color red, it becomes pink, and pink is the color of compassion. But then we go back to what is the root of passion? It means to suffer. So compassion literally means to suffer with. As we work up through the chakras, we evolve that passion into higher awareness. So any other thoughts, questions, discussions?
Yeah. This sounds like a really amazing thing you've put together, just like tapping into these very ancient fields of wisdom to put together a whole picture of looking within and how our body can communicate with us. So I guess my question is, like, how can we, so like say we're looking at a root chakra, how can we take that and what you've described here and use that in a way like for how we might communicate with another person?
Mm-hmm. So for me, the first thing to be aware of is that the anger is not out there. The anger's inside. So one of the errors often people create when they're sharing their anger is they project it on the other person. To begin the sentence with, "You make me angry," is looking for conflict. As soon as I say, "You make me angry," I'm externalizing the anger. If I can bring that anger back in, feel it within my body and own it, I might say, "I feel angry when this happens." Without blaming, simply owning my own feeling. And then that gives you information about what triggers my anger. So that's going to start a conversation off in a different way.
Yeah, it sounds like when we have a kind of a map here to identify our emotions and where we feel them in the body in a way that allows us to take personal responsibility for our feelings. And there's a old saying I've heard that the emotions are like a ghost, and they turn the brain to a thief. And when we project our emotions, the brain wants to steal someone else's happiness because it's like it has lost its happiness. So here we're able to change the process and say, "I feel," and open up in like a non-violent sort of way. Or we can build a bridge instead of burn one down.
Yes, and also the emotions seem to act as a psychic energy field. So like if I'm tuned into my feeling, I might feel anxious or fear in my body before an event happens, because I'm feeling outside of my body through that energetic emotional field. One thing that I've noticed is that we all have the same needs, the primal needs of food, water, movement, rest, air, light. If any of those needs was completely absent in the body at a cellular level, we'd be dead. Out of those primal needs come all of our other needs, the need for respect, the need for privacy. We could name many, many other needs that are more abstract needs. The problem arises, we have the same needs, but oftentimes we have a different strategy for meeting those needs. So for example, I shared in our last class, we have two people that are in love. For one partner, their experience of love comes through touch. For the other partner, their experience of love comes through feeling respected. But maybe the person who needs respect has difficulty with touch. The same need, but now there's a conflict because of the strategy of how they receive or express that need.
Yeah, that's powerful. So in that situation, how would you manage that? Like, how do you handle that?
So the first step is basically for each partner to come back to the need. The need for love, for one person, represents a sensation of physical touch, of connection. Mm-hmm. The other partner is receiving that same sense of connection by being honored and respected. So now that starts a conversation of deeper understanding of each person.
It's kind of like we have an anchor now, like an anchor word that we can go in and like express, like love. We both have this need. Now let's kind of do a dance around it. see, we each have a different movement and see if we can lock in step together somehow. Like,
Beautiful. One of my mentors told me that when we're in conflict with another person, if we each have the ability to stay in the dance, just stay in the dance, just stay present, own the feelings, something may evolve that neither person was able to see previously. So just staying in the conversation without projecting the emotion, holding it. And when I hold my anger without projecting it, and I own my own trigger, that actually opens up a place of vulnerability. So instead of anger being seen as an attack, it actually opens up a space of greater vulnerability between two people. The second chakra, which is the bone right at the base of the tailbone, or right above the tailbone in the lumbar spine, is called the sacral, or the sacral plexus. In Latin, sacral means sacred. So that's the divine feminine, the energy that's pointing down towards the earth. And that color often is associated orange, the second chakra. It's the lower dantian, which is sometimes considered to be the center of the universe in Chinese energy medicine. It relates to creativity. The womb is what creates birth, procreation, and also relates to control and surrender. In the English language, we talk about someone who holds their pelvis very tight as being a tight ass. So there's literally, it's an expression, but it's literal. In cultures where they toilet train children very young, that causes the whole pelvic area to have to tighten to learn that activity at such a young age. And those cultures become very good at control. Oftentimes those are the cultures that produce really good cars because they're really good at controlling engineering. But of course, when we're too controlling, especially in relationships, that creates friction. So the other side of control is surrender. In a healthy relationship, when we can both take turns playing those roles of control and surrender, when we can identify those roles within ourselves. So part of embodied communication is learning how to let go of control. So here's an interesting analogy. Everyone make a fist. Now imagine you were making the fist so tight you couldn't open your hand. It's been like that for months. Your fingernails are digging into your palm, it hurts, and you can't open your hand. Now, if you could not open your hand, would you feel in control of your hand?
Nope.
No, so do this. That ability to let go is a higher level of control. So control can both come from holding on, but control can come from knowing when to surrender at the right time.
That's powerful. Wow.
So any thoughts or questions about second chakra, control and surrender, creativity?
Yeah, I really love, it is like these two, the left and right hand path. Once again, there's a delicate dance there, but I really enjoy what you said there. That to surrender, when you're so used to control, that's like an ultimate control, and it's like when you go full yin, you start to unfold the yang. So
Right.
you can see there's the left and the right can become each other, and then once you have a balance there, you can almost have a flow there, and you can learn to dance both sides both dances. Yeah, and just relating it to relationships, like you said. That many traditional dances is one person leads, one person follows, but in a relationship, like we've been discussing, there are different needs and different ways of expressing the same need even. So when we learn that, okay, maybe today we do it my way a little bit and tomorrow we do it your way a little bit, we do create that balance there and create some harmony in a relationship that's not so one-sided.
Beautiful, yes. So now we're coming up to the solar plexus. Interesting that the word solar plexus has the word solar or sun in it, because in traditional Vedic yoga practices, the third chakra is yellow. And in the English language, we associate yellow with fear. Someone who's yellow-bellied is afraid. But also, if you think of yellow as the brilliance of the sun, that also creates excitement. So excitement and fear are two sides of the same coin. When we can tune into the energetic system of the body and we can feel that tightening of the solar plexus, we can then begin to notice what is it that's externally creating this internal response, or what is it within myself, perhaps an old program, that's creating this contraction. As we are able to move through the fear and come into our brilliance, I like to say, imagine your solar plexus completely activated and your brilliance is like 10,000 suns. You're bringing light to whatever it is that you want to understand. And then that excitement can give you the energy or the motivation to move forward. Hence, the third chakra relating to movement. What is it that moves you? So, question, Tej, what is it that moves you? What are you moved by?
Probably elevation, elevation of oneself, and evolution, really. Like just a different way, an example of a different way.
So your personal growth moves you.
Yeah.
Evolution, beautiful.
Yeah. But really the growth of the masses. We just have to start it.
Right. We're all a piece of that puzzle.
Right. Yeah. The day that we all wake up and decide we want to better ourselves is the day that we will all wake up and better each other, or we all grow as a unit that way. Instead of worrying about everybody else, we worry about us, just like here and this with the embodied communication. If you can really take the time to regulate your system and pay attention, you get to understand not only where, say, who you're talking about is coming from, but where you're coming from on a deeper level, and what part of the body it's stored in. Is there a lot there? What do you need to release? This is really like kind of another lens of fine-tuning your whole energy system on a day-to-day basis, if you choose to.
Exactly. So now we're coming up into the heart. In the system of yoga, the heart, which is the fourth chakra, is green. And we associate the color green with abundance. Things that are alive, that are vibrantly alive, are green. But it's curious, the opposite of that, when we feel blocked from that abundance, oftentimes we feel envy, and hence the expression green with envy.
Okay.
The need that we associate with the heart in embodied communication is stillness. A stillness in the heart that has no words. It's a place where we can come into a very deep meditation. And we're going to be doing a little bit of that in our meditation on the show today, where we're going to be using movement, breath, and awareness to spiral into the heart. Coming up to the throat, air is also inspiration. So as we're breathing in and we feel the cool air at the back of our throat, we can feel or imagine that we're literally breathing in spirit. That's what inspiration means, to breathe in spirit. And we can feel that coolness of air flooding into the lungs and coming into the heart. The color of the fifth chakra is blue. So in the English language, when we've spoken our truth, blue represents peace, calmness. When our throat chakra is blocked and we're not able to speak our truth, oftentimes that leads to sadness or depression. Hence in our language we say, I'm feeling blue today. And once we work with the internal yoga qigong of embodied communication, then we have a much richer way to express our truth, and also to hear what other people are speaking. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen twice, speak once. Coming up to the pineal gland, this is where the pineal gland is like a doorway between the physical, the body, and the soul, between the physical and the spiritual. When the pineal gland is activated, we have visions, we become visionaries. The crown chakra, the color white, love. So now we're bringing all these colors together. What happens in light when you bring all 6 colors of the rainbow together?
It becomes white.
It becomes white. So then that white light explodes from the heart center, and that's the activation of the rainbow body.
Amazing.
So words are just stories. Words themselves have little meaning. It's when we can embody the essence, the truth of the communication, then the words take on a richness where we can start to see eye to eye.
Yeah. Wow. So powerful. Words, vibrations, intentions, emotions, right? This is amazing that you're bringing this and sharing this with the community, because, you know, I feel like as children, if we were taught these tools, and like the world would be such a better place, because I feel like communication is the root to so many, you know, things in relationships that fail, and business partnerships, and just all types of relationships. So this is definitely amazing, and having that perspective, right, of all the chakras and the needs, because it's kind of like, the way I look at it is like the updated version of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know, and it goes deeper, you know, to the root.
Right. There's a beautiful story from ancient India that the rishis made a habit of only speaking truth. That was their practice. So if they spoke something and they only spoke the truth, then whatever they're saying has the potential to manifest. So if a woman had a sick child, she would bring the child to the rishi, and if the rishi spoke the words, your child is healed, because the rishi only spoke truth, then the child would heal. Now, I know that's a story, but it's also the potential of how powerful our words can become when everything is in alignment and we're speaking that truth from our heart.
Very powerful. Definitely powerful. You know, even in the Bible it says, you know, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, you know. And you know, back to Hindu philosophy as well, they say that the first word was the Om, right? And it just reverberates forever. So this is very powerful. Like, wow. I definitely need to practice what the rishis practice, you know, only truth.
Well, are we ready to start with meditation?
So we have about 5 more minutes until meditation. We could answer some questions in the meantime, or you could elaborate, just lay the groundwork for what the meditation will be.
So the 3 pieces of the meditation are movement, breath, and awareness. I used to teach stress management classes in the M of movement, the B of breath, the A of awareness. I call it the MBA of stress management. There's many different types of movement. In this system, we use a lot of yoga and qigong. But movement helps to bring us into our body. So some people experience ecstasy through dance, ecstatic dance. Some people get downloads when they're out doing their morning walk. There's no one right way to move. But when we move, we start to become more aware of our body. Breath continues on its own without thinking about it. The breath is autonomic. But we can also control our breath. We can consciously breathe deeper or slower. So when we start to pay attention to our breath, either by just watching our breath or consciously breathing deeper and slower, we're creating a bridge between the conscious mind and the autonomic body. So breath is the gateway to accessing the dantian of the heart, accessing the dantian of the sacral plexus. And when I'm leading a movement class, I like to share that the breath is 10 times more important than the movement. So as we're going through this meditation of movement, breath, and awareness, see if you can just continue to breathe slightly deeper and slower throughout the whole meditation. That will take you deeper than doing all the movements perfectly. Don't worry so much about doing the movements correctly. And the awareness is 10 times more important than the breath. Simply being aware of sensation, being aware of breath, being aware of thoughts that are arising in the mind. If you can simply be aware without attaching to the thoughts or the sensations, that can take you into a very deep place of meditation.
I love that. It looks like Melanie said breath is her first tattoo, and I was just actually working on this Yoga Sutras translation into the quantum, and I was on a sutra today about the power of breath to create unity. Because it's like you said, you know, the breath can be so automatic and it's run by the subconscious. And then when we explore working with the breath ourselves, we start to build a bridge between our conscious self and our subconscious self.
Exactly.
So I love that. So I do notice in my own practices, like doing yoga and following my breath, and sometimes it'll stop at a certain place in my body. It can't go deeper, and it's like, oh, there's some energy, some emotion that might be stored there. Oh, what is that? You know?
Right. So something that's very interesting Wilhelm Reich, who was a contemporary of Freud, is the father of body-oriented psychotherapy. Reich used movement to fatigue certain body muscles along with breath to access the emotions of the body. So oftentimes when people do something like Kundalini yoga, where they're doing intense breathing and movement, just like Chand was saying, those emotions that have been held in the body then start to release from the body. So this is another way of becoming more familiar with our emotional body, is by finding where the emotions are held in the body and finding ways through movement, breath, and awareness to release. And sometimes that release might look like tears or shouting or experiencing some trauma that happened many years ago. Perhaps when you were a child, or perhaps even a past lifetime might begin to come up through your emotional system and to be released.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that insight, Joseph. And we're just on the cusp, or actually we just crossed over to the meditation time. I'm gonna restart it. So whenever you're ready, Joseph, you can lead us in meditation.
Okay. So there's no one correct way to meditate. There's as many different types of meditations as there are different spiritual traditions. One suggestion that I offer is simply to begin breathing just a little more deeply and a little more slowly than you normally breathe. At the top of the spine is, in what's yoga called a bandha, is also a lock. So if we're holding any tension in the jaw, we're keeping that connection between our upper dantian and our heart. So one way to start to release this bandha is simply by letting the jaw open slightly as you exhale. Try this, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Letting your jaw open slightly as you exhale. Or if you prefer to breathe just in and out through your mouth, bring your tongue to the roof of your mouth, but letting your jaw open slightly, breathing in and out through your nose. And we're going to begin to make some little movements of the head, maybe rolling your head in a small circle. You can use your fingers to begin to massage the muscles at the base of your skull. Turning your head from side to side. Massaging the muscles of your jaw, moving your jaw from side to side, stretching your jaw. Massaging your temple. And now take a deep breath, bring your chin up toward the sky. Feel this is stretching your throat, and feel the muscles at the base of your skull tighten. You might notice as the muscles tighten, you feel warmth. Pull your shoulder blades back and together. A deep breath, and then exhale. Let your head fall forward. Let your shoulders round forward. The average head weighs as much as a bowling ball. Feel the weight of your head lengthening the back of your neck. Now begin rolling your head in a full circle. Notice any points in the circle where you're feeling tightness. Imagine you could breathe into those tight muscles. And each time you let your head roll down and forward, feel the weight of your head, lengthening your neck. And now opposite direction. Coming back to center. Feel the coolness of the air at the back of your throat as you inhale. Notice the air feels slightly warmer as you exhale. Bring your full awareness to this exchange of cool and warm air. And now follow this cool air down into your lungs and feel or imagine right where the cool air flows through the lining of the lungs into your heart. Imagine that you're breathing directly into your heart. Coming into the middle dantian. And as you breathe in, breathing in spirit, you might ask yourself, what inspires you? Listening to the wisdom of your heart. And now imagine that you could begin to spiral in to the center of your heart. Coming to a place of stillness. And you might ask yourself, what is my heart's deepest longing? When we come into the deepest longing of our heart, our life has purpose and meaning. Continue releasing the jaw. And now begin breathing more deeply into your belly. Flexing the spine forward, tilting the pelvis forward so you're concave the back, bring your shoulder blades back, chin up to the ceiling, take a deep breath. Push your belly out. And release, tucking your tailbone under, arching your back like a cat. And again, bringing your solar plexus forward and imagine that you're opening the solar plexus, allowing that bright light of the sun to flow out. A deep breath. releasing any fear, allowing your diaphragm to relax. And you might ask your body the question, what is it that brings you excitement? What is it that activates the solar plexus? At the very bottom of your sternum is a little bone called the xiphoid process, which is a little pointy bone at the bottom of the rib cage. Imagine that pointy bone is like a big spoon, and begin rotating your rib cage in a circle. And imagine that spoon is stirring the contents of your gut, the sacral chakra. Breathing deep into your belly. Opposite direction. And imagine whatever's there at that intuitive gut level. You're activating those gut feelings, allowing you to tap deeply into your intuition. And just playing with that movement of rotating your rib cage over the pelvic bowl. And now breathing even a little more deeply, releasing the jaw as you exhale. Take a deep breath, push your belly out, hold, breathe in more. Use the breath to push out into the sacrolumbar joint. Exhale and release. So now let's take a moment to rest in the lower dantian, the second chakra.
Thank you.
And imagine that you're connecting to your creativity. Be aware of any tightness in the pelvis. And you might ask yourself, is there anything that you're holding on to or trying to control that's no longer needed? And each time you let go of the breath and you feel yourself letting go of the breath, imagine that all the muscles of the pelvic girdle are letting go. Feel your belly soften. And now allow your awareness to drop down to the base of the spine, the root chakra. Feel yourself becoming grounded deeply into the earth. And feel your two hip bones, in German they're called the sitz bones, pressing into the floor or the chair. And imagine those sitz bones are like battery terminals connected to the earth. And through those two terminals, in yoga they're called the Ida and the Pingala. Imagine that you're beginning to spiral down the double helix, flowing down into the center of the earth. And as you spiral down, surrendering to the earth, Feel yourself coming into the center of the earth. Feel that fiery molten lava at the center of the earth. And now as you're breathing in, slowly imagine that you're bringing that fire up. And as that fire is coming up through the double helix, imagine a deep earth string is coming up through the other side of the helix. So you have fire and water flowing up. And coming up through the root chakra, the lower dantian, into the belly. And now imagine that sacral chakra, this sacrum being the shape of a downward pointing triangle, beginning to rise up through the body. Feel yourself coming up to the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the pineal gland, the top of the head. And at the upper dantian, feel that upward pointing triangle, the occiput at the base of the skull, beginning to slowly flow downward. And feel the two triangles of the sacrum and the occiput coming together in the heart, forming a Star of David. Imagine that Star of David becoming three-dimensional, a star tetrahedron. Imagine the star tetrahedron spinning, morphing into the flower of life. Activating the Merkaba. And coming back to the heart, always coming back to the heart. Imagine the three bandhas, the base of the spine, the base of the rib cage, and the base of the skull are opening, allowing the energies of the three dantian to merge in the heart. And now with your eyes looking down as if you could see inside your body, simply notice how feelings feel. Notice any places in the body where muscles feel tight or perhaps there's discomfort, I'd like you to feel or imagine if that tightness had an emotion. First thing that comes to your mind. What emotion is being held there? You may or may not have an instant awareness of this connection. However, if you just continue breathing into that area of tightness in the body without judgment, simply allow whatever feelings that are there begin to arise. And begin to open your eyes softly, bringing awareness back to your heart. Notice any subtle changes, physically, mentally, emotionally, that may have occurred during the meditation. Rubbing the hands together, warming the palms. Place your palms over your eyes, feel the warmth of your hand. And now take a deep breath. Imagine that you're pulling any energy down around your eyes, your jaw, your throat, bringing it down into the heart, and shaking the hands. And this time we're going to bring the fingertips to the base of the skull, bring the hands around the top of the head, as if you're washing your face of any stress or worry into the heart, shaking it out. And one more time. Deep breath in, pulling the energy from the base of the skull, forehead, face, throat, pulling it down into the heart. A deep breath and release. Okay, how was that meditation for everyone?
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Thank you. Very beautiful.
So in embodied communication, there's movement, breath, and awareness for each chakra, for each dantian. So each dantian has its own meditation. And then as you become familiar with these basics, each one of us is different. You begin to explore that own inner communication. Each person begins to develop their own movement, their own breaths, their own awareness.
Yeah,
So
I feel.
there's another way of saying that is you'll easily start to find your own breath pattern and your own breath rhythm.
Yes, and I've noticed in the many different breath traditions that I've studied, from the Reichian breath to breath from Qigong to rebirthing, there's so many different systems of breathing. Different systems of breathing have different effects on the body.
Yeah,
Breathing
because
through the nose is different than breathing through the mouth.
mine got
Breathing
real
into the
singular.
breathing into the chest. Someone who's very expanded like this because they're deep chest breathers have a different personality than someone who's breathing more into their belly. There's no one or right way, but you can start to explore all the different ways that your body can breathe.
Yeah, it's interesting as I've really spent the last 6 months in Kundalini yoga, just focusing on my breath as I work through these blockages in my that I've carried for many years. How my breathing has gone from it used to be very just upper respiratory and light, and just being able to do like a full body breath now to
Right.
expand all the way from the lower dantian to the throat.
So this is a
It's
great
just
exercise.
different energy.
If you-
Yeah, it's
Right. If
calming.
you lay down on the floor, you might be able to feel it sitting in a chair, but not as much. Place your left hand over your heart, right hand over your belly. And now take a deep breath. Breathe in more. Exhale. Notice, does your belly breathe more or move more, or does your chest move more? And when people are lying on the floor, you can usually see with about half of the people that try this, that one will move much more significantly than the other. So that's an indication perhaps that you're predominantly a belly breather or a chest breather.
I love. It's funny because when I do my breathing, it's like it starts at the belly, and then as the belly gets full, you feel the chest get full, and then it circles back around. I always kind of see my own little infinity sign, or the the sun and the moon channel just crossing back and forth.
Yes. Yeah, and that's a beautiful practice, just as Tej was saying, to focus on expanding your belly first, and when the abdomen is full, then feel the breath expanding into the lungs.
And then
And
she
if you-
creates a little vacuum. She'll want to pull, and your belly will want to come back in, and then you repeat the cycle. Big belly out, belly in.
Right? In Kundalini yoga, there's the breath of fire, where you're suddenly pulling your diaphragm in, pulling your navel back toward your spine, and then release and soften your belly. So it sounds like this. And this breath of fire helps to open the middle bandha that separates the dantian of the heart from the dantian of the sacrum. When you open up this bandha, a lot of times that releases emotion. So oftentimes when people are, especially when they're in the early phases of learning Kundalini yoga and they're doing a lot of breath and fire, it can release a lot of emotion, a lot of tears, a lot of grief that's being held in the belly.
Yeah, the way our guru talks about it, it's like a furnace, and it pulls in all the negative energy so that it can transmute it, because it's creating that vacuum. Yeah, gotta love me some breath of fire.
Yeah, and when your diaphragm is loosened up, because that is a place where I think a lot of people store tension. It was right there in the solar plexus, It took a lot for me to be able to open that up, and I definitely experienced a lot of that negative release early on. But now it is like whatever comes in does transmute, and then it's able to rise up into the heart. And like you said, there's inspiration. And that's something I wanted to touch on too, because we love our etymology here on this podcast. And, inspiration. And that's in the heart, but the heart, that's where the lungs are too. The heart chakras, where the lungs are. And what do we do with the lungs is we respire. It's respiration. So we bring, with every breath, we're bringing the spirit in again. So it's only fitting, the inspiration and the respiration all come together.
Inspire, respire.
Amazing.
And our Guru Singh, he says, you got to breathe to believe.
That's good.
That breathing, that believing and faith and trust, it goes so hand in hand with the inspiration.
And literally, by increasing our inspiration, we open more to having creative ideas. Like when I'm out in my morning, I call them morning walkabouts, where I'm doing the movement breath awareness as I'm walking, and I'm just taking in as much air as I can. I'm doing different types of breathing. I do breath of fire, I do deep abdominal breathing, I do deep chest breathing. At some point, usually about 30 or 40 minutes into the walkabout, I have this tremendous surge of creativity. And in that creativity feeds the different projects that I'm working on.
What I love too in the heart, another great word that I love, courage, and the etymology of courage. Cor means heart in French,
Right.
and age is like time, so it's the time of the heart. And when we have inspiration, it takes courage to act upon it. And so when we're opening the heart, we're able to transmute that inspiration into manifestation and reality.
Right. So courage, compassion, and wisdom are three aspects that we can tune into when we tune into the heart. Hence the expression, brave heart.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That makes sense, yeah.
So here's another thing that I've noticed with myself and with people that I work with, is that typically people have different levels of activation or different levels of trauma stored within the different chakras or the different dantiyans. So have you ever met someone who seems like they're a tremendous visionary? They just have all these creative ideas, but they don't do a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe the root chakra is not balanced. Maybe it's not aligned. Maybe they're not grounded. So as we work with each chakra, finding out if it's balanced or imbalanced, if there's trauma or there's healing, if it's in alignment with our posture. Once we begin to see that system, then we grow that emotional intelligence within the body. And as we connect all the chakras, we're in greater alignment, then our visions have a much greater chance of coming into manifestation.
Yeah, because when we think about what all the chakras are, it is a systematic flow of energy from, the passion. When we talk about, there's a left and right hand path, and we look at the passionate path, that fire is needed, but it needs to come up, and it needs to have the power and the life force, the heart, the inspiration, the courage, and the expression, right? And the idea, and the love. Yeah.
Right. Also with the root chakra, the analogy of connecting deep into the earth or connecting to all sentient beings. So through that root chakra connection, we're also connecting to our abundance, because we're connecting to all the beings on the earth. And when we share our inspiration, and from that place of groundedness and inspiration, we discover we have a common vision, then those of like mind can begin to bring their skills, their talents together, and then that amplifies the creativity. It amplifies our ability to bring in whatever we need from the physical world to manifest our dreams.
Yeah, I've noticed that in my own experiment, same, but as I've refined my own energy systems, it's like the chakras, they form an energetic antenna. And these dreams I've had, I've been able to, it's almost send a call out to people in the world, and brought us all together, with similar vision and similar goals in life.
Mm-hmm.
Including meeting all three of you gentlemen here. But when my energy really wasn't all aligned or worked out very well, and I had a vision and I could see a path that I would like to take, but I didn't know how to get there, and the people weren't there, and I was kind of stuck in a lot of ways. And it did take the intention of doing the energetic work, clearing some emotional blockages, to be able to just allow this energy, this antenna to call out, and the synchronicities all to start forming. But it's just amazing when you could see that, when you do the work, and you could see like the A and the B and the difference between them. Really profound.
Right.
Definitely. I definitely agree. I did a lot of, plant medicines, traveled around, and that helped all the energetic blockages. And once I was ready, just naturally that antenna, right? It resonates, and those that are on that same wavelength could pick it up. And even without knowing it, like, you could just be dreaming and then just snatch it out. And then now you wake up, and then someone tells you about this one thing that leads to another thing, that they know someone else that knows someone else. And through a chain of events, you'll end up exactly where you need to be. And that is the power of these energy centers, right? Like, they're vortexes, they're chakras, there's wheels just spinning, So yeah, it's amazing.
Something I'm curious to ask, because I've studied yoga, I practiced yoga pretty deeply this last year or so, but lately I've been coming across some teachings of Qigong, and I'm wondering, since these are both systems that you're pretty familiar with and have studied, where do you see that they cross over, and where do you see that they're a little different?
So, Qi means energy, Gong means knowledge or study of. I see Qigong as fluidity. I see Qigong in some ways of embodying the yin energy, of flow, of intuition, of coming into harmony with the earth. Where yoga, which means union, has both its yin and yang, but I see yoga as more structure. The specificity of the different asanas. So yoga and Qigong, for me, combine the yin and the yang, the control and the surrender, the masculine and the feminine. They both have each. However, a lot of Qigong is continual movement, where with yoga you're coming into an asana and then you're holding that posture, coming into the stillness of the posture. I think they can both bring you to the same place. However, that's why I like what happens when we start to combine the essence of different traditions. It's like each tradition, we're looking through a particular colored lens. And when we bring all those lenses together, we begin to see the white light.
Mm. Yeah, I'm very much a more not gnosis sort of person, and I love to study, you know, just even different religions, and you can see where when you can take the best, you know, sift the gold out of all the different teachings, you can really like create a synergy for yourself there and tap into like the core essence and put together a whole puzzle of understanding. And obviously that's some of what you've done here with embodied communication.
Definitely. It's like being an alchemist of different paths. You're synthesizing these notes and creating a new thing, right? And I think that's amazing, honestly. Like, and I'm glad that you asked that question, because I've kind of just been like learning so many different things that I'm like, man, what do I stick to? Like, what do I do? Like, trying to build structure. And what I'm getting from here is just like, find the pieces that make sense and resonate, lay that foundation, and just keep building, right? Like, every path is unique, you know. My way might not work for someone else, but it works for me. And I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
I think old school, the path was find one path, commit to it, stay with it for your whole life. And that's still a beautiful way to go about things. And at the same time, I'm sensing a new school that's coming in that's blending traditions together. One's not better or worse, but now there's a choice that exists.
Definitely. I definitely do see that as well, especially with the rise of like AI. It allows us to synthesize, because that's one of his specialties, right? If you say, hey, I like yoga, qigong, a little bit of like Kabbalah or something else, like energy work over here, plant medicines, you can say, hey, like, build me this routine, and then it just spits it out for you, and then now you have a daily routine, a daily sadhana, you know. It's really amazing. So what's up,
Yeah,
Tej?
I'm with you though. It's traditionally the option, it was tough. You wanted to follow a path, you kind of climbed a mountain and found a guru or something, and they taught you person to person verbally, and you know, over hundreds and hundreds of years, you know, the printing press was invented, and information slowly became this thing that could spread more and more quickly with technology. And it seems to me like the path of all this is, you know, the universe, if whatever is underlying all this life, it wants to explore infinite possibilities. So now that we have technology, we can, even before AI, you know, you could get online and order a bunch of books on Amazon or go to websites and do research. And AI even makes it quicker now and gives you more tools. It's like now, as time goes on, we're just kind of, the branches, you know, the tree branch grows and it splits, and then that splits, and everything's just kind of fractaling into all these possibilities of what could be.
So I'm going to sign off here in a few minutes. Any questions or thoughts before I sign off?
Let me see. I don't see any new questions in the chat. If anyone wants to ask Joseph before he signs off any questions, feel free. And if not, I mean, we'll definitely give it some time. We'll give it some time. I have a question for you, Joseph. Please. If you could go back to your younger self, right? Like someone like my age in their early 30s, right? And you could give them some bit of wisdom, or yourself wisdom when you were 30. Like, what would you say?
Practice listening to your heart. Allow yourself to be led by your heart. You'll go places that you could have never imagined with your mind.
That's amazing.
This is a saying that I made up. The journey of 1,000 light years begins with a single step into the light.
It's funny because I keep wanting to. I've got this thing where I say turn on your heart ears.
Nice.
It's like hurts, but yeah. So yeah, we'll be playing with that because it. Yeah, that's what made me think of that. Sorry. Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, such a pleasure to be here with all of you. I love each of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph.
What could you suggest?
I wish I.
Hold on. Let me ask him a question.
Let
me ask him a question. What if you could just suggest one, a couple practical steps on how one could simply start to just sprinkle or pepper this into their daily life? What would it be?
So, whatever you know, whatever you do to practice being grounded. Whether it's just going out and walking barefoot on the grass, laying down with your whole body on the earth, or simply meditating, feel yourself, your energy flowing down into the earth. Making that ground connection is so important. And then being able to connect that grounded feeling with your heart. That what we did with the exercise of breathing into your heart, activating your heart, whatever you do to feel the presence of your heart, connecting your heart with that feeling of grounded.
Okay.
Those are the first two steps.
Okay. So then we could say we're turning on our heart ears when we get grounded.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna build on that. I'm gonna have this whole process.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Joseph.
All right, thank you. Until next
Joseph,
time.
Before you head out, is there a way that anyone watching might be able to find you, find out more about embodied communication?
Oh yeah, good.
I don't have anything up right now on that. Just through this group.
Okay, more stay
That's your
tuned.
content. All right, stay tuned.
Coming soon.
Thanks, Joseph.
Much love.
I wish I had this knowledge when I was young, but it's changed my whole life. I would be in a whole different place right now. So, thank you for sharing. This is really, really wonderful work.
You're so welcome.
Amazing. All right, bye for now.
So long. I need to
Adios.
figure out how to sign off.
You could just hit the red button on the laptop.
I don't see the red button.
Bottom right.
Yeah, it's
It
the
looks like
bottom.
a phone.
Or I could just disconnect you from here. Oh, there you go. He found it.
All right, figured it out.
Okay. I have to adjust.
Bye-bye.
I have to adjust this thing now. All right, guys. What do you guys want to talk about? Could just freestyle from here for a little bit. We're about 128 into the podcast.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw earlier someone named Witty Mystic said it helps to know what you need, because we were talking about kind of doing the dance of communication, but and around your needs. She said it helps to know what you need and be able to express that before getting into a relationship. Sadly, many have been denied their needs and weren't taught to express them, and that energy is brought into their relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could definitely talk on that. I think when you are, looking for a relationship, I think that should be one of the first, or like one of the few early conversations, Like, what are your needs? What is your love language, right? Are you more of a touch person or a gift person, or, you know, that's very important. So we also have Sarah Redmond. She says, thank you, Joseph. It was wonderful to see you and hear about body communication, and big thanks to all of you. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your time with us. And there will definitely be more of Joseph. He has a lot of wisdom. So what do you guys, any thoughts?
I keep going back to when I was doing the sound healing the other day, because it's heavily female, because it's all women, sometimes it can pose an obstacle course for one to maneuver through. But with this going through it the way Joseph led us through tonight, just like trying to look at it from a slower, more heightened point of awareness of what's really going on from start to finish, and then repeating things back to people so that they can realize that, oh, they might have said something that they didn't really mean, and then they can adjust it. And sometimes you have to do it again, and then they'll adjust it again, and then finally it's like, okay, now we're all on the same page. It's funny how many different things people can establish to one word. So just because you two people are using a word in a conversation doesn't mean that each party thinks that the word is the same. The word doesn't have the same meaning to them as it does to you. So it really helps to get feedback so that you can then get what that word means to them. So then you can compare it to what it means to you. And then you guys can, everybody can find some synergy. And then everybody likes hearing themselves repeated back to them, because it shows you that you care. It shows the other person that you care. You slow down enough to put enough effort in to want to make sure that what they said to you is what you heard. So
yeah, absolutely, man. Tej, and thanks for bringing this up, because that is a key piece that we didn't really talk about with Joseph, is active feedback and relaying what you heard, like you said, so that we kind of like can come to an agreement that we're on the same page about what we're talking about. You know, it's one thing to get out of our minds, you know, like common thing, I'm sure we're all met with it. You're trying to tell someone something, you can tell they're not even listening, you know, and then when it comes to talk, they say something and it's like, that's not even what I was talking about, and they're just thinking about probably the whole time what they're gonna say, you know. But then yeah, there also is where we are listening, but we don't really quite get the angle, maybe. So how do we like figure out what the angle is? Yeah, we kind of reaffirm what we thought we heard them say and try to feed it back to them, and they go, yeah, or no. no. But let's maybe I can redefine what I'm saying.
So what you're saying, Sean, is that communication is a two-way street, right? It's not only you speaking or you listening, it's a dance, right? And two people have to be willing to do that dance and also clarify what is being said, because like Tej was saying, every word can mean one thing. Like we could say love, that means millions of things to millions of people. We could say work, we could say play, any word we say. Run, like, well, run might be a little common, but like certain words, right, just we have to clarify them as we speak. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that's something I love that we do here, is look into etymology. So we kind of get to the root of the word. We get to the root of sometimes of what is the syllable.
Yeah,
you know, inspire, spirit. Yeah, and then but when we're able to do that, we all kind of get on the same playing field of what we're discussing.
Definitely.
Yeah, then we at least have like a symbol or a key. Where we all know this word means this to each person. And oh no, man, don't use that word. No, yeah, he don't like that word. I'm warning you.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't say apple, not Not when Tej is around. Dude will blow up. No.
He'll turn into an apple.
I'll probably just put a pin on my head and start going in Johnny Appleseed mode. Skipping around. Bloop. Apple tree. Bloop. Apple tree. Rest.
Yeah, man. You know, I was just having this thought, like this type of style of communication should be taught in schools, you know. Absolutely. And unfortunately that's just not the goal of the system. But in a new age school, right, these new schools that are being birthed, I feel like this is very powerful, because I've tried this style of communication with just relatives, and they weren't willing to dance just because of their own blockages, you know. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate when someone doesn't want to dance and you love them so much and you're like, man, I just want to connect with you, but you're not allowing me to connect with you, you know. And then they're getting angry because they're trying to control things, and you're like, no, it's a dance, man, let's dance.
Let's dance.
Yeah, let's dance. You know, in my culture, I'm Dominican, we have a lot of dance. We have bachata, merengue, salsa, right? Like, we're a culture of dancing, right? But that's the physical, right? But then there's the emotional, there's the intellectual dance, there's so many dances, right? So it's interesting. You guys have any thoughts on that stuff?
Yeah, I think, you know, like just the traditional style of communication that has been taught in the past, you know, especially in schools. It's just a very masculine, logical looking, like the law is word, right?
Debates. You know?
The law is word, and the law is, it's a very masculine structured thing. And just going into this like Aquarian age where we're seeing a lot more feminine energy come into balance in the world. This is something like embodied communication is a must, because it is looking at the magic, the emotion, and fusing that with the logic, the language, so that we can learn to truly communicate and express ourselves from a balanced place, right? We can balance masculine and feminine energy within us, and it becomes a lot more authentic. And I feel like this whole system will just lead to a lot less conflict as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people really like to feel heard.
Definitely.
It's just like the perfect common ground. Well, not everybody though. Like Aqua Wolf was saying, sometimes you hit a person that they really don't like to have what they said repeated back to them. But again, that's for good reason most of the time. So don't let it bother you. Just flow like water, my friends.
Yeah, I think too, like, people love being heard, but it's a great tool for learning to express yourself, you know. Like, I know I spent many years being like, what is this feeling and where does it come from? But here we have a whole map. Yep, here's like a polarity at this chakra and all through the body, and it's like, oh, I feel it there. Okay. Maybe this is about, am I too in control of something, or maybe I'm like too surrendered and I need some control. Okay, yeah, and then you could kind of map that to situations in your life and come in, and like he was saying at the beginning, instead of being like, I'm mad at you or you make me mad, it could be like, I feel like I've lost control of a situation here that I need to have control over, you know, and you can express yourself authentically instead of kind of violently just throwing your feelings at someone else.
Oh yeah, that's important, being able to have that self-awareness to not project outwards, but to digest your feelings and really like unpack it within yourself, and then communicate that objectively, like just neutrally. Just, I'm not throwing it at you. It's just, hey, I'm feeling like this is inside of me, and I want to resolve it, you know. I want to find the neutral point. So it's definitely very important. Go ahead, Tesh.
It takes great courage to like ask yourself where these feelings are coming from and why. It takes great courage to put yourself in front of reacting to them without awareness and then reframing them after understanding them.
Mm-hmm.
Great strength, great courage, but the reward will be much more than you could ever even imagine. Like the biggest thing you could dream of, and then that's still not it.
Mm-hmm.
Still not it.
Actually, like just from my own more recent experiment a few months ago with a friend, you know, like I had a friend and he was kind of trying to tell me what to do, and it was making me feel angry, you know, and I was like, I'm mad. And it's at him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, but why am I really mad? Like, because all he did was just say something to me, and like 99% of the time, this person doesn't make me mad. It's like, okay, oh, so here's what happened. I feel mad. He told me to do something that I didn't, you know, don't boss me around. Is how I'm feeling, and I'm actually just mad at authority. What is authority? It's like the father, you know, it's like a father energy, and yeah, I'm probably just having a reaction to my own father that's like 20 years old, and maybe that's what I need to work on resolving. And you know, and maybe he had a little emotion in his attitude when he said it to me, and that's what, you know, caused me to spark. But then I could go, but so if I'm feeling something and it's actually not about this person, and this is actually going back to probably my childhood, then that emotion that he's throwing at me in his words that I'm feeling, that's probably got nothing to do with me either. And he's probably also kind of reacting to something from his past, that maybe it's like something impatient or whatever it might have been, you know. And so I could see that I have this wound in here causing an emotional spark, and that he probably does too. So maybe we can come to the table and connect over the fact that we both have these wounds, you know. And that's how it went. I was like, you know, I'm feeling this way, but really it's like, why would I even be mad, dude? You're my friend, I love you. It's like, and I got this going on, but I noticed this in you too. And he's like, yeah, I could definitely trace that to something. And we were able to actually like help each other heal.
Wow.
Through this kind of awareness, you know. It was really amazing. And it could have just been, even just a few years ago, could have just been me going, you just make me so mad. And then now we just have a conflict, and it's just getting worse, and we're both saying things we don't mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It feels good to be able to look in, and it does take courage sometimes. There's a lot of things in there that we don't always want to look at.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's scary, man. Like being that vulnerable and then being able to express that's the courage. I mean, both takes courage to, you know, illuminate the shadows and open up the closet and then see everything that's in there and take responsibility, right? Because you're not just projecting it outwards. You're like, hey, like, wait, what is triggered inside of me? Why do I even have a button that can be triggered? You know, where's that button at? And then to have the compassion to, you know, see the other person and say, hey, they also have a button, you know. Let's dance a little bit. Let's come to common ground, right? It's very powerful, bro. That's an amazing experience that you just shared, man. And that's just a testament to like self-awareness and empathy, having intuition, right? Tapping into that more divine feminine energy, right? That we need more of, you know, especially as men, right? A lot of men would just default to, you make me angry, let's fight it out, you know? Because we just have that Martian warrior, like, just war energy, right? So yeah. How about you, Tej? Have you had any experiences where you were able to find the common ground between, you know, two people and like resolve conflict?
Yeah, like I was talking about the other day at the sound healing, and just in general, I've learned now through deeper listening to myself, like whenever you're at a grocery store or out in the matrix, like if you really just apply the same deep listening you've been doing on yourself just to the other person, you'll be surprised how much more things you catch on to. So it's just like a simple analogy is what you see when you drive to work in your car is going to be different than what you see when you ride your bike to work, which is also going to be different than what you see when you walk to work. If that makes any sense. So as we slow down, it really affects everywhere. And that's, I guess, kind of all my daily practical tip is when all this stuff starts to feel overwhelming, or anything in life starts to feel overwhelming, or the conversation starts to get overwhelming, anything you start to feel going up, you just boom, you pump brakes, because it's about to get to that momentum point, and then it's just going to keep going faster and faster. There's like a sweet little moment where you notice the tension, but before it like goes over that hill. Yeah, and if you can just slow down, it doesn't matter what you're doing, where you apply it, if you just give it a try, give it some time, you'll see the benefits. It's just slow down, and then wait a little bit and see what happens. Wait a little bit, see what you feel. Wait a little bit, see what you think. Like just that little bit of intention of awareness to pause before anything takes you out of that reactive state.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, there's definitely been times in my life where I've had a strong emotion about a situation, and I knew that it would just be better for me to take the time to cool off and then come back and work it out than be in that moment when it's so heightened and, you know, the top's about to pop off of the pressure cooker. And that would it's only gonna cause things to be worse, right? Yeah. Slowing down is so important, and then to take that time to investigate what you got going on inside, and like, why am I getting so hot? Why is it building up so bad? And like Aqua, like you were saying, man, like it can be hard and scary to look in, and I think be a lot of shame, especially as men, like you're saying, like there's like shame, or it's almost like in the masculine culture, like it's not cool to be into your feelings and all that, right?
Definitely.
But really it is cool to be in your feelings, but like it's just such a stigmatized thing. And it can be really hard for men, and I'm sure that even like for women out there, like I can't speak for being a woman or communicating as a woman to a woman, but I can imagine that there's a woman trying to communicate with a man who is not able to dive into his feelings. That could probably become a scary thing as well.
Yeah,
you
definitely know? I mean, I see it just with my parents, man. Like, just the old school woman does this, shut up and listen. And it's just like, dude, the thing hurts me sometimes. I'm just like, man, just listen to her, man. Like, she's saying some very amazing things. Like, she's saying really good stuff. And it just takes that self-awareness to be like, okay, slow down. What is being presented? Is this good information, or is this valuable information? Okay, it is. All right, let me listen, right? And in our society, our culture, it's you know, like they have a song, it's a man's world, right? Like, it's a man's world. And then I noticed that, unfortunately, that has pushed the divine feminine down, right? And it's kind of like isolated and hidden, when in reality it's all about balance, right? And it, like, they have, you know, phrases like, okay, it takes a village to raise a child, and that's for good reason, right? Like, because you need all perspectives, like Tej was saying, right? Like, when you ride the bike, when you walk, when you drive, different perspectives, right? And I think what we're doing here is promoting that, right? You know, expand your consciousness, expand your mind, see through a different lens, right? Like slow down, because there's so much to see. So much to see. So I asked you know, I asked the AI a few questions. If you guys want to go into questions, or you guys want to have anything. Actually, we're at the 1 hour and 50-minute mark, so we might be able to bang out maybe 2 to 3 questions and then begin to land the ship.
Sounds good, man.
All right. I think we touched on this, but I definitely want to just hammer this point in a little bit. But what role does presence and stillness play in deepening our communication with others? And also Sarah says that she has a question. Go ahead and drop it in the chat, and we'll definitely love to, you know, talk about it.
I think stillness is so important. And we did kind of touch about, you know, like some people are just in their head the whole time you're talking, and it's like they're not even hearing what you're saying. And we can be still in the mind, we can be still in the body. We can just be completely open. Because, you know, communication, it's like you take turns with a lock and key. You gotta let the key come into the lock. You know, the words need to come into you and your vehicle, and even the emotions, and taking in the body language and all that. Like, the more still and present you can be, the more you can observe, the more you can take in to really understand what a person's saying, not just verbally but energetically. Then you can get in a dance, and then now you get to be the key into their lock, and you get to project the, you know, it's the yin and the yang, the dance of yin and yang. So
Definitely. Stillness is important.
Men, dudes love it when you're in touch with girls, women love it when you're in touch with your emotions. And then males love it when you're in touch with your emotions. So everybody loves when everybody's in touch with their emotions.
Yeah.
All it is energy in motion. Emotion.
Definitely. Yeah, man. I mean, emotions are at the core of everything we do, right? Like, you know, it's just in our vocabulary. It's in everything. And like I was saying earlier, like, unfortunately, the way that the school structure is, it just doesn't promote that, right? Like, it promotes hide your emotions, you know, logic, and it's just kind of sad, you know. It's definitely sad. Okay, so Sarah asked the question. Let me pull it up here. She said, what advice would you give to a woman who wants to improve communication with their partner, who is resistant to the dance, resistant to openly expressing emotion?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's like, at first you've almost got to, I guess I'm just gonna go. So at first it's like you've almost got to do it without him noticing, in the sweetest way, in the nicest way. It's like you can't bring attention to it for the dude, because then he'll be like, nah, fuck that, I'm trying that shit. But if you do it, and then afterwards you're like, oh, look what we just tried there, and see how it worked so good, that you got him. They can't. Then they'll be like, oh, okay. Or they'll be like, oh, well, give them time, because it's not like men aren't really used to bringing such subtle awareness. So like, when you do your lady thing and you go about it and you're all smooth and nice like water, you know, just keep that vibe, just keep that supportive space, without, maybe, guys don't like to feel dumb about themselves. So like, just be gentle and with ease, execute your plan of attack, and then bring their attention back to what you did. Hopefully that helps answer the question. because I've seen it a lot of the time. And the same thing actually happens with guys and females too. So don't think it's just one way around. It also really helps to, if you are aware of something that they really like, you use that as an analogy to work it in with however you're going to go about doing it. Just so that they have context, or they're hearing words that are activating happy emotions within themselves. So they'll be in more of a likely state to accept the knowledge and information that's being presented to them. Hopefully that. Here's the crazy answer to your question. Thank you.
How about you, Chan? Do you have any insight for that question? She said that was amazing, Tej.
I think Tej had a pretty good sound strategy there. Kind of like Trojan horse it in, you know?
Yeah, dinner works good too. When guys are when they're full, they're also more receptive. So timing is everything. If you pick if he just came home and he's alert or stressed, I would just abort and wait until he's at a calm state. Because again, what you're doing is you're leveraging your awareness, or utilizing your awareness, or your heightened awareness for the good of the relationship. So because you're more aware of things like this, you can now apply not only how this will best work for you, but how it will best possibly work with him as well. Because all you're doing is just redirecting your awareness. So calm state, calm place, good timing, and then even you could ask questions that will kind of pull it up from him as a start. Pretty much repeat the same question you would be repeating to yourself but to them, and see how they react. It's going to just be a constant game of trying this, and this worked well, or this didn't really work well, and then we'll rebound and tried that, and that worked well, and this didn't really work well. Again, the dance. But most people aren't trained to think about how they feel, or how they're feeling, especially at a current moment. And then not only that, they're not really in the habit of expressing how they're feeling at that exact moment, and then expressing why they might be feeling that way at that moment. So that's a beautiful thing about this, is both people get to hear it. It's not just you, the communicator, it's the communicator and the listener both get to hear the communicator.
Definitely.
Going back and forth. Yeah.
Definitely, man.
Sorry, this is a big one for me, because man, seriously, if women and men could just communicate more clearly and understand that what they're thinking that word or thing is probably 180 degrees different than what she's thinking that word or thing is. Mm-hmm. And if you don't take that time in the beginning to at least come to the middle point of being yes, okay, now we are both very aware that this is what we're talking about. It means this to you, it means this to me. Then you can move forward. It's kind of like that foundation. And you'll always hear me suggest a game. Make it like a game. The whole activity could be turned into a game where you make a certain space, the problem solving space, or the fix a relationship. Get creative. Come on, you've got your own quirky relationship. I can't figure it all out, but you know what I mean. Be creative and playful. And guys they like to be playful and creative. They just don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
Tej, it sounds like a big thing you said in there was kind of as you're working through this sort of conflict of understanding, you're able to kind of create boundaries, and so we have a game, but we need to put some rules in the game of we don't go here, or maybe we could find a new way to where we're not expressing this way, we're expressing it a different way, and we're seeing where we draw each other's lines so that we can learn where we can come together, right?
Yeah, because another big point or another big thing that I feel very strongly about is like there shouldn't be sections where it's like you can't do that and I won't do this. It's more of like they come together in a point where like I've learned that when I do this, it makes you feel like this. So because I care about you enough, I don't do that anymore. It's not that you don't do that, it's I don't do this because I see that it stresses you out, or it brings uncomfortability to you, or it makes you not feel safe, whatever the reason be. So even then you're communicating it back to them constantly, and then you don't even really need to communicate it because both parties just know that they wouldn't hurt the other person. So it's kind of like you're training yourself in this practical procedure, so then it can just constantly be going on autopilot. Once you've got it down. And then and every time you have an experience where you register both of you respecting each other, and especially something you've communicated about, like there's a blossoming, and then you both see it work, you have faith in it, then it's easier to keep doing it. It's just like any other process you'll hear us talk about here on this programming is set yourself up for success, make it seem like a game, enjoy it, like try and find joy in it, and small simple steps forward progress.
Yeah, man, definitely. Also like patience, right? Respect.
Yep.
That's the main thing for men is respect, right? Like the way that man knows that he's loved is when people respect him, right? So yeah. And then one thing I noted here before I go to the comment that she left is make sure to like empower him, right? Like show him how powerful he is, you know, like having this skill of being able to communicate your emotions as a man is a very powerful skill. This is like things they write in books about, you know, like things that CEOs should know, right? Like self-awareness and being able to communicate, right? So definitely also show him that aspect of it. I was like, hey, like, you know, I understand you're a warrior. I know that you're powerful and masculine, but this is a very powerful skill set that could take you to another level, right? And yeah, so she also left a comment.
Reward always works good.
Oh yeah, also there.
If they do good, reward them. Men
Yes.
like reward. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they'll start to get in a habit of it, and they'll know when they work with you, then you work with them. Like you know how they work. Come on, ladies. Just
wink,
figure out how it works. Go with you two, and I guarantee you that'll be the biggest success you have. Is no matter how good he does, just reward the attempt at the thing, and then you'll see continued progress because he'll come back for reward. I hate to talk about my breed like this, but
it's like
make it sound like dog.
Yeah, it's like a dog. It's like Pavlov's dogs with the bell, right?
you gotta respect the survival instinct. That's just like what we were talking about today. The guard dog wants to protect and love, but like again, the way he shows it is much different. You know what I'm saying? But
Definitely.
Just like a good guard dog, like he wants to protect and love you. That's it. So much that he'll do stuff that you don't want him to do. But anyway, I won't go too far off the beaten track. But yeah.
So I just wanna highlight the comment that she left because I think it's very pertinent to everything we're talking about here. She said, I think it's a negative loop masculine and female get into. She emasculates and he dismisses her feelings. What's your what you're explaining makes sense? And then she followed up
with
no, she basically was commenting what you were explaining before. Like what you're explaining makes sense, and she was basically pointing out how society, like it's a negative loop of masculine and that feminine get into, that she emasculates him, right? Taking away his power, right? Like what I was just saying, you have to rise him up, right? You have to build him up. And society promotes tearing a man down, and then society promotes a man, hey, you know, like, oh, just get those feelings around me, you're too emotional, right? Like it promotes those things. So what do you guys think about that? Any comments?
I've experienced that directly in my past. Yeah, very seems to be woven into culture. But yeah, it's just like what we're just getting at, you know, reward, like empower and reward, empower each other, empower a man, or, you know, this is a powerful skill set, and wow, thank you so much for trying that. Let's whatever, you know. But same with women. Just let a woman know how good she made you feel. Like, it's a feelings thing, right? Like, like build it up that way, you know. Like, oh, I love it. It makes me feel so good when you do this.
Yeah, because seriously, like, if you think of it as just like simple electricity, okay? We'll think of the electrical interchange of two humans, okay? So like, if both Aqua and I we just got here, we're both neutral, and I say something that like, oh, nice dress, Aqua Wolf, that we're immediately already in the negative polarity, and that's like the majority of all responses back to me are going to be negative, because I charged the initial conversation with a negative atom. So because I communicated with a negative thing, I got negative input, negative feedback, negative input, negative feedback. And then they go on to, like, they can show you in your brain that when the second you're activated, it creates a momentum. So like, not only will the first thought you have be negative if it was negatively charged when it was first received, then the next 2 to 3 thoughts are also going to remain negatively charged before you're already firing on your next thought, it's already negatively charged, until you then catch all of it, bring it back to a neutral momentum, and then go the other way. So it's like, if you look at it in terms like that, it is so much easier, and that's why all you see is that loop that she was talking about. It's like, I do one action, and then it creates this action, and then I do it again, they do it again, I do it again, he do it again. If you can really, like, stop that loop, or control it to keep it in that positive momentum state, you can really be surprised or amazed with all you can accomplish with much less energy. God, I get so worked up about this stuff. I barely contain it.
I see you, man. This is a very a topic that you're very passionate about. I could definitely tell that.
Yeah, don't worry, ladies. We're gonna get them all sorted. We'll get them sorted. We'll get them all.
Kind of saying it's like you're rolling a snowball down a hill. If it starts as a negative snowball, it's just gonna start becoming a big, more negative snowball.
Straight up. It's not
Also,
advanced biology.
I didn't realize that was a dress you're wearing, dude.
Yeah, it actually is. It's a man dress. It's a man dress, though.
Rest. Oh, okay.
For the record, to state, I did not mean that was an example, not an actual insults are imaginary here.
I'm gonna hold on to this for the remainder of the podcast, which is about like maybe 10 more minutes. I'm gonna hold on to you called me a dress wearer when this is definitely a t-shirt.
I'm wearing a dress. I'm gonna wear a dress tomorrow. I'll wear the next episode. I'll wear a dress the whole time, if that makes what makes you feel better.
It's all good. I'm confident in my masculinity. So if I wear a dress, it's gonna be a masculine dress. I'm gonna be like a Scottish man. The Scottish one. A kilt. Wear a kilt. Oh man. So we are on the 2 hour and 8 minute mark.
Yeah, land our ship, brother.
So what I am gonna say is, if anyone else has any more questions before we sign off, feel free to drop them in the chat. If not, we are going to land the ship, guys. It's been, guys and gals, right, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to know when we stream, it is on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30. This says 8. Let me see. Hold up. Let me update this text. Should be 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we talk about a wide range of topics here today. We were talking about embodied communication, which is basically speaking from our chakra centers and understanding our different wants and desires, because it is very important. Very important. So many times in relationships, it is overlooked and it's not truly understood. And we are bringing awareness to it, right? We had Joseph Raleigh, and this is an amazing man. He's part of our community. If you want to watch the replay, he breaks down all the chakras. What are the needs? What are the wants? So just real quick, I did write some notes. So the root, you have food. The sacral, it is, I think it was water. And then solar plex is movement. The heart is rest. The throat is air. And the third eye is light, and the crown is love. And he was also mentioning that we have the right hand and the left hand of each chakra. So basically the shadow and the light aspects of every chakra. And, you know, we might bring him on, or we probably will. You know, we're definitely gonna talk to him. Nothing's confirmed, but I would love for him to go deeper into these topics and each chakra, because there was just so much, man. Like, so much. Like one of the things he said is like, don't blame, right? Like, bring the emotion within you, process it. And then Chand was actually speaking about this as well. And then when you express it is, I feel blank when you do this and that, right? So you're not saying, oh, you make me angry, you never listen to me, you're so what's wrong with you, right? You're just like just throwing darts, projecting, right? And what we want to do is, in any relationship, we want to get to the root of the relationship, right? Or the root of the conflict, and we want to dance, right? So we've talked about a lot of dancing, right? The yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, right? But it's not negative in the sense of negative, it's just different polarities, right? And every human has these polarities in their body, right? So we should remain in the dance, right? Surrender to the flow, right? Speak from the heart. I think that was the most important message, right? Because I asked him, what would you ask your younger self? And he said, you know, learn how to communicate from the heart, right? And then ground yourself, right? And that was the practical steps, right? Go outside, walk, dance, right? Movement to ground that energy, but always bring it back into the heart, because the heart is where everything starts. It is actually the first organ, you know, when a human baby is in the womb of a mother. It's the first one that gets created. That explains a lot, right? It's the most powerful organ. Tej, a lot of times he explains the length of the auric field of the heart is actually greater than the head or the stomach or just anything. Your heart projects very far.
Way bigger.
Right? It's way bigger. So as we bring our awareness and our attention there, we amplify that, right? So I definitely wanted to just highlight some of those points. If you missed the podcast, definitely go to, or once this is over, you could start it from the beginning, and then you could get all the amazing information Joseph shared today. If you guys have any final thoughts, let's start with Tej, and then we'll go to Chand. Just to, you know, wrap it up and land the ship.
Yep. So the electromagnetic field that can be picked up from your brain is 3 to 6 inches outside of your head. The electromagnetic field that can be picked up from your heart is 3 to 9 feet outside your body. And if you look at it, it's exactly the same electromagnetic field as Earth's itself. So, just a few fun facts. Have fun. Be patient. Be grateful. Thank yourself. Thank you for allowing us to do this, and know that every day you grow is the day we grow, and everybody else. Yeah. So thank you so much. Unconditional love for oneself and all others. This is the way.
This is the way.
The way.
How about you, Chan? Any final closing remarks?
Yeah, for sure. One, just really looking forward to this embodied communication. It's something that the three of us are blessed to be working through an 8-week workshop with Joseph as he develops it for the internet for the first time. So I think that's something we're hoping to be able to bring to the world one day, is an online workshop so other people can get engaged with we're able to do breakout rooms and practice communicating from our chakras, our needs, and maybe things that block those needs. And then we're with a partner and we're able to active listen and give feedback. And it's been an amazing process so far. And I'm really looking forward to helping him share that with the world. So hopefully we'll have him back on soon. We'll have him online somewhere and we can actually give some contact info for anyone who's watching and is interested in learning more. But if there's something you would like to know, feel free to message our channel, leave comments. We can try to find out some info. Let's see. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Communication is, well, I'm a Gemini rising, so communication is a huge thing for me. I think it's really important. It is the way that we exist together, and until we can telepathically communicate in a way that's beyond words, we really need to learn to refine the way we communicate with one another for maximum understanding, because words can be so limited, but it's also like all we've got, right? The picture of a beautiful flower, how do you even describe that with words? A picture's worth more than 1,000 words for sure.
Definitely.
So yeah, just wanted to say thanks for everyone who tuned in. We've had good amount of viewers for this whole time, and I'm just really grateful for all you who've tuned in to watch, who stuck around, engaged in the chat. Like, we're here to help and give, and when you interact with us and when you're here to show support, it helps us as well, so that we can grow and reach more people. So just wanted to say thank you. We're just trying to help heal the world a little bit here, and just your participation makes it all possible. So much love. I think that's all I've really got until next week.
All right.
So thank you.
All right. Wholeness and balanced vibrations, everyone. Just remember to smile, laugh, love, and give. Express from your heart. And until next week, we will see you again. And Tej just gonged us out. All right.
Namaste.
Namaste. Love and light. Peace.